faith and belief is a powerful thing. For instance, if you say a prayer and you believe strongly that prayer will come true, once you complete that prayer, it manifests first within you. Now, if you do not complete the prayer, then you manifested partial prayer, or you see yourself as a failure, or you see the prayer as incomplete. And likewise, your faith will be so. If you mess up on your prayer, depending on your views, will determine if you have to restart the prayer or continue from where you messed up until it's completed. It's having faith and strong belief will affect your faith. And you can believe you have to pray 500 times. And the moment you complete the 500th prayer is the moment that prayer will activate. When you could believe you only had to pray once. And the moment that prayer is completed, it activates. You can even believe you don't have to pray at all. That you merely have to accept God and be in full faith all the time. And that will be an active sign of faith and belief that will manifest continually a constant prayer. So there's many ways you can do it. There's when you learn that praying a small prayer is very conditional, when you could have your faith on all the time and continually. And it's like a constant prayer that never ends. It's like the angels in heaven that never stop singing the Lord's name. So, depending on how you do it, you learn in stages, but depending on how uncomfortable you are with it will determine when you move away from it. And you're supposed to move away in a higher way, in a better way, not in a lesser way. But some people move away in a lesser way because they become uncomfortable with it, and they expect the prayer to work even when they don't have faith in it. And sometimes the prayer does work, even without faith, but most of the time it deals with faith. But if you have faith, you can say a prayer that takes 500 times to manifest once, then it will manifest after saying it once. You have to really believe it, though. That's how strong faith is. So it's like children are like one of the most faithful beings on the planet. If they say a prayer, it'll probably work faster than when an adult says a prayer, because an adult is stuck in tradition and trying to do things the way it was written and the way they're told to do it. And it still doesn't work because they put faith more in the process than in God. And they think following the process is following God, when in reality, it's not relying on God first. It's relying on the process. And they think relying on the process is relying on God first, which it isn't. And they end up failing, and their prayer doesn't manifest. And they wonder why it's going wrong, and they have to cleanse themselves and do all sorts of things and rituals, and it still doesn't work because they're not putting God first. And they say they are because they think they're following God's laws, but we're supposed to put God first and foremost. Kids, they do that usually automatically. They put God first, even if they seem upset, even if they seem like they don't want to do it. The moment they say that prayer, it manifests. And you wonder why. Because they're in the kingdom. It doesn't matter if they're seeming like they don't believe in God or not, because they are in the kingdom. They're a kid. They're given the benefit up until like a certain age before they come out of it. They're in the kingdom. So when they say a prayer, it's probably going to manifest faster. So if you're having problems and you have a younger sibling, have them say a prayer for you. And tell them how they're in the kingdom, and it will manifest faster. and see how fast that prayer comes true. But yeah, if you want to stay in the kingdom, you have to have a childlike spirit where you're not worried about anything. You're relying on God completely. Kids are in a completely reliant mode, but they act independent. But they're in full reliance of all their surroundings. And to be humble is not about acting like you're content. It's being in the moment. It's being content. It's whether you act like it or not, you're not being judged for it. So this is a long message, but it's important because faith and belief, and whether or not you truly represent that, when you think you're following the rules and you're not following the important rules, because all the other lesser rules, the instructions for how to do something, that doesn't work unless you have faith anyway. And when you have faith, you don't even need to follow those instructions and it will work. So the problem isn't you're doing it wrong. The problem is you don't have faith in it. And when you have faith in whatever method or whatever path you choose, whatever pops into your mind, that is good. When you do that, then it manifests. And at first it manifests within you, and then it comes to you in the world. And it may not come to you in a big way. It may come to you in a small way. But it's like a magnetic pull, and you're being conditioned to attract it. And some people call this the law of attraction, but it's faith and belief. When you believe it strong enough, you start looking for it, and when you start showing it from yourself, the world starts trying to match you up with what you're representing. You start running into it more, and you start meeting it more, and eventually you'll start being next to it all the time. So it's a long message, but it's a very important message.